All right. My name is Jen, and I'm at from the Science Center. And today we're going to be building boats. So I want to talk about some of the things that you might need. You can use lots of different stuff to build your boat, but you're going to need a container of water. I made mine blue so that you could see it on the computer, but you don't have to do that. You're going to need like some foil. You might want some different kinds of paper, like index cards or scrap paper works. I've got little pieces of junk mail to try. And you're going to need some weights. So I have both pennies and little animals. You can use whatever you want, as long as it's small enough to fit in the boat that you're going to make. Okay. You can use other stuff too. It's optional. You might want some tape. You might want some scissors. And I have some bottle caps to try. And we can try and see how these different things work to make boats.
So there we go.
All right. So I'm just going to tilt my computer so you can see my bowl of water and my materials. So let's just try some different things and see what we can use to make a boat. So one easy thing you can do is you can just take a square of foil and you can just put that in your ocean here. Now that floats, so that's okay. And then let's see how many pennies we can put on our boat here. 1, 2, uh-oh. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see? We're starting to get a little water. 3. Ah! Okay, so we can only put 3 pennies in here. So that's interesting. So now let's try making something that looks maybe a little bit more like a boat. Maybe it looks a little bit like the boat that Philip is on, huh? All right, so I'm gonna make something that looks a little bit more like a boat. So I'm just gonna fold my foil, and you can make lots of different kinds of boats, right? Because boats have different shapes. So I'm just making a little boat here. I'm gonna see if this works any better than my plain piece of foil, okay? So we're gonna set our boat. Whoops. Maybe make the bottom a little bit flat. You can use a little tape if you wanna use a little tape. Let's see if we can put more than 3 pennies. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but that's interesting. We got more pennies in our boat. Does anybody have any observations about some of the boats that they are making? Has anybody made a boat? Let's see. I'm going to make a really...
Yeah, some folks working on assembling their materials. Jacob,
Excellent.
Jerome, you're using foil as well, I see. Okay, so you've got a nice big boat there. I wonder if the size of your boat will matter, if it will hold more pennies than Jen's did.
Yeah, so I've got a bigger piece of foil, so I'm going to see if I can make a similar shape of boat, but just make it bigger. So we're just going to try to do that and see if...
Jerome, what's up?
My foil took 12 until it sank.
My foil. So yours, you did use sort of a bigger piece of foil, it looks like, and it looks more like cup-like to me, I think.
Mine held 16.
Wow.
16 pennies, just a piece of foil. So it seems like the shape and the size of the foil are really affecting our boat.
That's very interesting. Those are some interesting observations. So I made a bigger boat and I've got more than 5 pennies in it this time. So it looks like maybe the size of the boat has something to do with how many pennies it can make. Well, that's interesting. Let's try some different materials. If you have some different materials, we can try those. So I've got just like this is like an index card, a postcard. We're gonna see. So it does float. That's important, right? 1, 2, oh, now that's interesting. It did not hold as many pennies as my foil did. So that's interesting. Does anybody else have some different kinds of materials that they want to try out, that they want to share? Are we working on our foil boats?
It's also interesting as you build your boats to think about how they're going to move, right? So you can put a piece of foil into some water, but usually when you're boating, you want a way to steer your boat or move your boat to where you want to go, not just wherever the winds or the tides take you. Has anyone thought of how they might steer or move their boat? Philip, are you on a motorboat?
Yeah.
So your boat has a motor. Might be hard to make a motor out of these materials. What are some other ways that boats move?
A sail.
A sail, right? So you might be able to think about making a sailboat
Mhm.
and seeing if you can blow your boat somewhere using a sail.
That's
Any
very
other ideas?
interesting.
Trey and Corinne's boat held 12 pennies. Was that with paper, Trey? What material did you use for that? Paper, just paper. Wow.
Wow. What shape did you use? Did you just have a flat piece like this, or did you fold it or bend it?
I had paper and put some pennies on it,
Yeah.
and then it held like 11 or 12 of them, and then it was sinking.
Wow, that is a ton of pennies. Was it a big piece of paper or was it a little piece of paper like this?
Big piece.
Oh, that's very interesting. Huh. Well, I have some other things I want to try too. Does anybody else have something they want to share?
So Vivian was also thinking about ways that boats might move, and she put wind into the chat, right? So we would need some blowing wind to capture in our sails to get that boat moving across the water. Thanks, Vivian.
Thank you.
Corinne
That's a
has
good
something
idea.
to say.
Yes?
So I got a big piece of paper and I put it in the water, and so there's two sides. One was a
It's a little hard to hear you, Corinne. Are you saying there's two sides to your boat?
yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so it seems like having some sides helps maybe keep the water from flooding the boat to start with, right? You
Mhm.
want lots of points of contact with the water, but also some sides so it doesn't fill in and sink your boat.
Mhm.
I think Jen had some other materials to try, and this is a
Yeah.
fun activity. You can look around your house and see if you have any recycling materials or anything to make a boat with. Gordon, do you have something to share?
My boat holded 18 pennies.
That's
Wow,
amazing. What
that's
kind of
awesome.
boat
And
did you make?
Ajuni, did you have something to say? Do you want to unmute yourself?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's totally fine. I have a couple of bottle caps that I want to try out to see. So these have sides like Emily was just talking about. So we can see if maybe they'll float without getting full of water. This one has taller sides. So I'm going to put my bottle cap in here and that floats. Now my boat's not very big, so I'm going to have to put in the pennies very carefully.
Okay. Don't forget.
I'm going to put in the pennies.
Go into the garbage.
Looks like my boat is very, very sensitive to where I put the pennies. Oh no! That boat only holds 2 pennies. Let's try a bigger bottle cap and see how that works. So we've got our bottle cap and it's floating. And we're gonna put pennies in. So we're gonna do 1, 2. Okay, we're already doing better. 3, 4, 5,
If you want to.
6, 7. Ah! So this boat held more pennies. So that's very interesting. Now, are there some different shapes that people are making their boat out of? Are we making boats that look like cups? Are we making boats that are flat, like the first thing that we tried? What kinds of boat shapes can we try that might work?
Yeah, Jerome, can you show us your boat? It looks like you've got a sail going on and you're using some different recycled materials. And is that floating well?
Yes, I made this at Cape Invention, this boat, and it could hold a bunch of pennies.
Oh, great. Does it catch the wind if you blow on it? Are you able to make it move?
Yeah. Looks like,
Looks like your sail needs a little extra support.
yeah.
Trey and
Trey and
Corinne?
Corinne, do you want to share?
I took a small one and I put one on it and then two and then it just sunk.
Oh, yeah. So maybe, is there a way that you could change your boat so that it doesn't sink? Maybe you could change the shape or the material that you make your boat? Can you try?
I think I can.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see what you can come up with. Excellent. That's so exciting. I have something else that I tried this morning too that's kind of fun. This is an orange peel, right? It's just an orange peel. And I am going to see if it works as a boat. So it's floating. And I'm going to put some pennies on it. 3. Oh, only 3. Now this boat is very shallow. Maybe if we had a boat with higher sides, maybe that would float a little bit better.
Wet pennies are supposed to go on.
Yes, I
Corinne,
know.
do
Our
you
pennies
wanna
are getting
unmute
pretty
yourself
wet, aren't they?
Follow something?
This time my boat holded 21 pennies.
What? Wow. Did you change the materials or the shape that you were using for your boat?
I think I made it bigger.
You made it a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's also what I've been noticing when Jen puts her pennies in is it seems to depend where you balance the weight of your pennies, right?
Mhm.
If you put all of your pennies in a stack right at one end of the boat, it might sink faster than if you spread them out really nicely. That's why usually on a boat we don't stack a bunch of people on top of each other. We don't want to sink it that way.
Yeah. Has anybody ever been in a canoe or a kayak?
I go kayaking all the time.
You go kayaking all the time. Can you stand anywhere on a kayak or do you have to stand in a specific place?
You have to be in one spot, otherwise it could capsize or sink.
That's right. So maybe where you put the weight is really important. Let's look at a picture of a kayak to see what that looks like. I'm gonna look for a picture of a kayak here.
That reminds me of another way that boats move. How do kayaks move? Or canoes? Paddles, right? So sometimes we use energy from nature to power our boats, and sometimes we might use people power like paddles or oars. Unfortunately, pennies can't row, so you guys might need to design your boats for wind.
That's right. So this is just a kayak. So this one has 2 people in it. And this is something, has anybody ever seen a canoe like this? So this is a canoe that people made by digging out the insides, by scooping out the insides of a tree. So that's one way that people used to make boats when they didn't have plastic and lots of different materials, is if they had a tree that they had cut down or that had fallen down, they could dig out the middle of the tree and then they could use that as a boat. So that's kind of a neat boat, right? There's some other kinds of boats. Let's see. So these are, where is it? This is a crazy kind of boat. So this boat is called a catamaran. And what this boat has is it has a boat part in the middle, and then it has 2 things attached to the side that are full of air. They help the boat float. Isn't that interesting? So sometimes what you can do with your boat is you can take stuff that floats and you can attach it to your boat, and it makes the boat float, right? Has anybody seen a boat like that?
automatically.
Yeah. Now this boat has a motor, but a lot of them have sails. So you can make a sailboat. So that's kind of fun, right? So there's lots of different kinds of boats that you can do, and you can make boats with different shapes. There are very flat boats. They used to sail these on the canal up by Rochester. These are barges, and they get towed by other boats, and they carry lots and lots of things. So they're really, really flat, and they can carry very, very heavy things. So there's lots of different shapes of boats you can try. So this boat doesn't have to paddle itself. It has to get another boat to help it out.
No. Let's see about this. This can float, but what if I put a couple pennies on
Yeah.
it?
So Trey and Corinne, I like you're trying some different materials that float. Can anyone think of some things that might help their boats float, like in a catamaran that uses all that air? Is there anything that you know floats really, really well that you could attach to your little model boat?
Okay. Looks like I do.
Something to think about. Maybe look around your house, see if you have anything in the recycling that you think could help
Maybe
with
if
your
you had,
boat's buoyancy.
yeah, like if you had like some plastic bottles with a lid on it, maybe you could try attaching that and see if that would work. You could try attaching one, you could try attaching two and see if any of that would help. If you had ping pong balls, any of those things, if you were here a couple of weeks ago, we tried making different things float, and you might have lots of stuff in your recycling bin. That's a really good spot to look for something, and you can make a boat that's different. You can take your boat that you've just made and try to see if you can make it float more. Philip's boat Philip is on a boat that floats all by itself, but you might need your boat to have a little bit of help, right? Yeah. Well, I love seeing all these different boats that people are making. I think this is really fantastic. Is anybody going to try to make a different boat after this?
Okay,
It looks like
this holds some pennies.
Sorry, go ahead. It looks like Trey is still working on different boat designs. So this is something that's fun to do. You can also do it outside. If you have a big tub of water, you can try making different boats at the same time and you can compare them. You could try making different kinds of sails for your boat. You can make them out of different materials. So you can try what happens if you make a sail out of really thick material like your postcard. You can try making a sail out of something like foil. You can try using like a piece of thin plastic, or like if you have like a package that some food came in, you can see if that makes a good package, a good sail. So there's lots of different ways that you can make boats, and there's lots of ways that people have designed boats, and you might come up with something that nobody's thought of before, and that's really fun. Okay. Yes,
Trey, did you have something to add before we all head off to continue boat building on our own?
I think it's
Quinn has something to say.
Yeah.
I tried a googly eye and it floated.
Whoa. That's fantastic. Do you think you could make a whole boat out of a googly eye?
My boat floats going 27 miles per hour.
Yeah. That sounds pretty fast.
I'd be impressed if anyone can make their small kitchen boat go 20 miles per hour, but maybe.
But
Corinne, that's cool that the googly eye floated. That makes sense to me because they have some air inside. So if you think about finding things that have air inside, those can add some floating power to your boats.
that's right. Like if you have,
Okay.
And something else to say.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we're making so many different kinds of boats so we can try to find things with air inside to help our boats float. We can think about how we can make our boats move if we want to blow on them, or if we want to imagine that somebody had a little paddle. I hope that you think about taking pictures of your boats and maybe having your grown-up share them on our Facebook page. We would love to see what you come up with. We are gonna not be here on Monday because it's Memorial Day, and I think a lot of you are gonna be outside doing stuff. But on Tuesday, we're gonna do an activity with strawberries and biology. Emily, do you know, is that what we're doing on Tuesday?
Yeah, it's strawberry DNA. So we're going to be extracting some DNA from strawberries. You can also use other fruits if you don't have strawberries around, but strawberries work best. You'll also need some shampoo and access to water. Gordon, did you want to share something before we log off?
My boat holded all of the pennies I had.
So you might have to add a different type of passenger to your boat now.
Do you have some little toys maybe you can add?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Or maybe
Legos
you can
work
get
too.
some bigger coins. You can
Yeah, you might need bigger coins. You might need nickels or quarters.
Yay, still floats.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a good weekend. I hope you guys get to go outside. Maybe you'll take some of your boats outside this weekend because it's all nice out. And we hope that we get to see you guys next week. Trey, do you have something you want to share?
Something want to share one more.
Okay, one more.
When I put the googly eye, it floated, and when I put it in, it moved around in the water a lot.
Whoa, so your googly eye boat floated in the water and it moved around all by itself. That's really fun. That's interesting. So we can try different kinds of materials and see if maybe some of them move around more on their own. That would be an interesting thing to
Don't
try.
get everything to
Okay.
Okay, listen up.
All right. Well, I hope that you guys have fun with your boats, and I hope you get to enjoy some of the sunshine. And we will see you guys. Thanks for coming. Bye, everybody.